Week 7 coming up fast, halfway through the fantasy football season before the playoffs start. Got Week 7 DFS advice last minute. So I'm just going to run through this pretty quick. For the quarterback section, I got the baller section. We got Patrick Mahomes at 9,000. He is playing Sunday night, so he's going to be in your super flex or Sunday through Monday. If you're playing on the main slate, we got Cam Newton and Kirk Cousins. Cam at 8,200 against Philly. That is a funnel defense there. They're really difficult to run on, but really easy to pass. So Cam Newton getting some points running the ball with his legs on top of them needing to throw to actually make any progress puts him in a really good position. That's probably my go-to in 50-50s. Kirk Cousins at 8,000 against the New York Jets. They just don't really have much of a running game. It looks like Dalvin Cook is going to be out again. Latavius Murray ran well last week, but in general, he hasn't been doing too great. So I think you can bet on some big points there. Dropping down the other side of that, Kansas City, Cincinnati game, Andy Dalton, 7,800. Also going to be in the super flex section, but Kansas City's defense has been awful. Joe Mixon is back in the mix, so it's got a pass-catching running back. That offense is just looking really good, and their defense is horrible, just like Kansas City's. So a lot of points scored in that game. Good to get a piece of it. Dropping down into what I would consider the value section. Got Mitch Trubisky, 7,500. He's been scoring a lot of fantasy points, going up against the New England defense, who isn't great. But more importantly, a New England offense that is going to score points, so they're going to have to catch up. Khalil Mack looks like he might miss. He's going to be a game-time decision. If he does miss, that just makes it even easier for New England to score points and means Trubisky is going to have to throw even more. Baker Mayfield, if I'm not playing Cam, I'll probably make two 50-50 lineups on the main slate, and it'll be one with Cam Newton and one with Baker Mayfield. Mayfield is at 7,100 up against Tampa Bay, worst defense in the league. His receivers have been dropping the ball on him a lot, making him look bad. But yeah, I really like him this week. They also traded Carlos Hyde, which I think is a good thing, because now he's got two. Carlos Hyde had been running at 3.5 yards a carry, so I expect Duke Johnson to come in this week and get a lot of receptions, score a lot of points. Chubb is also going to be in the mix and is a better runner than Hyde, so looking good for Mayfield this week. And then if you're trying to punt at the quarterback position, C.J. Beathard is a good punt play, 6,400 versus the L.A. Rams. I expect him to at least hit value. He's been getting 20 points or more pretty much every game, and they're going to be in catch-up mode. So it's a good play. For GPP, I don't have the balls to play it in 50-50, but Eli Manning in a tournament play going up against Atlanta at 6,700. If he can't score points against Atlanta, then he can't do it against anyone. He's just looked awful this year, but he's got the weapons. He just needs short dump-off pass to Saquon Barkley or Odell Beckham to score him a boatload of points. So I like him this week against that awful Atlanta defense. Going into running backs, on the main slate, top two, we got Todd Gurley needs to be in every lineup on the main slate. He's 10,200, but he's the only knockout foolproof running back on the main slate. He's playing at San Francisco. He's just been killing it. He needs to be in every lineup this week with the running back position so scarce. Alvin Kamara, 8,200 at Baltimore. They gave him a break last week. It's hard to know exactly what the numbers will be like this week, but he's still a legit number one running back, and so I think they gave him a break last week. He's had a week and a half off. Get him in your lineups this week. If you're playing the Sunday through Monday, Saquon Barkley is a must-play at 8,200 against Atlanta. Defense just gives up tons of points to pass-catching running backs, and that's Barkley is maybe the best one. Barkley, Kamara, and Christian McCaffrey. And all Kamara and McCaffrey both put up tons of points. So throw him in your lineup. Kareem Hunt at 7,800 versus Cincinnati is a great play. Cincinnati's bad defense. Kareem Hunt's been getting more and more involved. I think it took a second to get this offense, all the different running pieces working together, but now he's been involved every week since like the first 2 weeks. So throw him in with confidence. Joe Mixon at 7,700 against Kansas City. Kansas City just hasn't been able to stop the run at all. So whichever running back is playing Kansas City, just like Atlanta, just throw them in if they're any good. Mixon is great, so I like him. I like Sony Michel if the injury isn't an issue and if Khalil Mack is out. If Khalil Mack is in or he's a game time decision, then I'm not touching it. But I think with all New England's weapons, they're not going to be able to stack the box against the run. Without Khalil Mack, they're going to look like a whole different defense. They're still good, but I think Sony Michel in that offense gets some goal line carries and punches in a touchdown or two. Tariq Cohen looks like a great play this week at 6,600. Allen Robinson is looking like a game time decision, and they're playing New England, so they're going to be in catch-up mode. This is not a Jordan Howard game. This is a Tariq Cohen game, and if Robinson is out, he's going to pick up some of those receptions. Going down, if you're trying to punt at the position, we got a couple nice options this week. Frank Gore, 5,600 versus Detroit. He put up over 100 yards last week, and Detroit is one of the worst defenses in the league against the run. I think Kenyon Drake could be a good play too, but I think Gore is guaranteed the touches, and against this defense, guaranteed production. And then Duke Johnson, after that trade, he becomes really interesting. He's had more touches than Nick Chubb, and Chubb has only had one target, 0 receptions this whole year. So the Carlos Hyde receptions, he's been getting like 2-3 receptions a game usually. So they're going Duke Johnson's way. Duke Johnson's going to pick up some carries. I don't believe that Nick Chubb is just like the running back there. I think he could eventually be the first and second down running back, and Duke Johnson coming in on third downs. But I think this is more of a split than people are expecting. Duke Johnson has been getting more touches. So why, now that this trade happens, does Nick Chubb go from a 2 or 3 carry per game guy, no receptions, to all of a sudden 20 per game? I imagine it being more of a split. But he's 5,100 and playing Tampa Bay, a game that points are going to be scored, they're going to be passing to keep up, and so they need that pass-catching running back in there. Going to wide receiver on the main slate, Adam Thielen, just like Todd Gurley, has to be in every lineup. 8,600 at the New York Jets. If you're playing on the Sunday through Monday slate, Odell Beckham at 8,500 playing Atlanta. Like I said, that defense is awful. Get him in your lineups. Woods and Cooks over in LA. 7,700 for Woods, 7,500 for Cooks. They're playing San Francisco. Either one of them is a great play. If that $200 really makes your lineup, go with Cooks. If you can spare the $200, pay up for Woods. But I think they're both pretty equal. dropping down. We got Tyler Boyd at 6,800 until they change his price. I think and as long as his matchup is good, I think we should keep throwing him in there. He's playing Kansas City, so one of the best matchups he could get. Yeah, at 6,800, he is on the Sunday night game, so that'll be super flex, and Sunday through Monday. Mohamed Sanu and Ridley are both playing. Sanu at 5,800 is my choice. Just like, he's been producing more the past couple weeks than Ridley, getting more targets, certainly, and he's a lot cheaper at 5,800. Going down, a couple really nice cheap plays. Willie Snead of the Baltimore Ravens. So this week, he's 5,400. This week against the Saints, he is essentially the wide receiver 2 on that team, because Marshawn Lattimore is going to shut down, I think, Crabtree, but either Crabtree or John Brown. Maybe he'll be on a combination of the two. But when he's covering one of them, they're basically out of the game. And that makes, if he's covering Crabtree, it makes John Brown the wide receiver 1 on that team and Willie Snead the wide receiver 2. If I knew Crabtree was going to be covered then by Lattimore, then I would want to throw Brown in there. If I knew Brown was, I would want to throw Crabtree. But I don't know. I know Willie Snead won't be covered by him. So I'd rather have the number 2 on that team than in my 50-50 lineup take a chance and end up picking the guy that gets shut out of the game and doesn't have a point, or makes 3 fantasy points, 5 fantasy points. Plus you get to pay down for him 5,400 in a game that should be a lot of points. We'll see though. The Saints' offense is a different team on the road, outside of the dome, but with Ingram back, they can run the ball. They got a ton of weapons. So, nice play there where you pay down. And Jermaine Kearse at $5,000. Quincy Enunwa is injured. He's out of the game. Terrell Pryor just got released. So, Kearse is taking over the Quincy Enunwa role and going to have to take over another role. He's going to get a big uptick in targets, and at $5,000 against Minnesota, a team that can stop the run but can't stop the pass, similar to the Eagles. I think he's a lock to hit value at least, and he could go off. So he's a great play for 50-50. Just pay down so you got money for the rest of your lineup, plus guarantee yourself at least 2.5 times production. So, tight end position, we got Kelsey, obviously, and Ertz. Kelsey at 7,600 versus Cincinnati. Ertz at 7,500 versus Carolina. They're just locks to be in this spot each week. Kelsey is not on the main slate, but if you can pay up to them, if you can afford them, they're solid. Like, pay up for them any week you want. But the play of the week for me this week is Njoku, 5,700 at Tampa Bay. There's an argument to be had that he is, more valuable with that matchup than any other tight end. I would still much rather have Kelsey and probably rather have Ertz. But with that price discount you get, he is I would bet that he will be the most valuable tight end of the week. He's been getting 10, 11, 12 targets per game recently. He seems to be the only guy producing consistently for Baker Mayfield. And with that matchup, you got to love it. You got to throw him in your lineup. If you want to pay down a little bit or diversify your lineups, Usama for the Cincinnati Bengals, 5,400 at Kansas City, a great matchup. And he's been performing as of late, so I think he's a good play. For GPP, I don't feel safe throwing Evan Ingram in there yet, but he is playing Atlanta, 5,700. So 50-50. It's we don't know what he's actually going to get, how much playing time, all that, whether they're going to ease him in. But for a GPP play, he could be great. Eli Manning doesn't want to throw it deep. Maybe he still doesn't against this horrible defense, in which case you really need to start worrying about Odell Beckham and his rest of season fantasy value. But if Eli Manning just dumps it off to Evan Ingram, he could have a huge game. Going down to the defenses, basically just targeting these two games, Jacksonville versus Houston. Houston at 4,800, Jacksonville at 4,400. Jacksonville, one of their tackles is down to third string, so their line is all beat up. Their Fournette is still hurt, so I think that's a great matchup. There's always the possibility of an interception or two. Really, the likely, we'll get turnovers because that offense is just not very good, and their defense is good enough, or is excellent. So you got to expect that, the defense on both sides is going to do well at slowing down the pace of the game. Houston's line is torn up. Watson is hurt. So is all of their receivers, I believe. All of their receivers are banged up. Blake Bortles is definitely good for an interception or two. So that game looks like a good game to target the defenses. And then down in the Indianapolis-Buffalo game, Buffalo's defense is way better than people give them credit for. They're only 3,400. And Indianapolis throws a bunch. So, their offense has been firing, but they're not immune from interceptions. You got to expect a couple turnovers on their side, and then targeting Buffalo's offense with Indianapolis, who isn't a horrible defense, not a great defense, but a great matchup. 4,100. So they're the four defenses to throw in there. Now I'll drop a lineup maybe tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, there it is. Good luck playing this week. Hope y'all make some money. Peace.